We're going to start out with our champion showmen. We'll have Hunter Wolf, Berkeley Bussing, Bowen Bussing, and Lexus Mercer. We have a Nokia cell phone that was just found. If anybody has lost their cell phone, it's Nokia.
It looks like the hogs are going every which way, but the judge is looking them over very carefully as the showmen escort their hogs around the arena. We're using half the arena compared to what we used for the sheep, but as Alan Stevenson, the swine superintendent, told us before the show tonight, the hogs are a lot more active than sheep. So they have them in a more confined area. These are the best of the best here tonight. Part of the Grand Drive that's underway here at the Clay County Fairgrounds. I don't need to tell you, it's really a warm night, and a lot of people are crowded around to watch the hogs in action.
Well, good evening, and it's certainly a pleasure to be back this afternoon, or this evening, I guess, and have the opportunity to go through and pick your champion overall showman. And I guess these are kids that have won the division prior to this, and then are one out of the division today, or out of the senior division today, gets to come back in and compete against those kids. And so, kind of a unique opportunity, and not something that I guess I'm overly familiar with. Our county doesn't do that, and I can honestly say I don't know that I've been the one that does it quite like this. But it's I think a pretty good feat for those youngsters to have an opportunity to come back in and compete against kind of the best of the best. And I think, as you guys can see, we've certainly got a very, very good group of showmen in the center of the ring, and we spent a lot of time earlier today talking about different things that I look for in showmanship and kind of all of those things. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, just for the simple fact that I know everybody's kind of ready to kind of keep moving forward. And so I do want to commend each and every one of you guys out here in the center of the ring, and congratulate you on my behalf. For giving me the opportunity to come in and have a chance to work with you and sort through. And if you guys would, around ringside, let's put our hands together for these exhibitors, please. Showmanship is something that is so vital to the success of those projects, and I think it says a lot for you young people to have the opportunity to be in here. Obviously everybody has different styles and different kinds of things that they prefer and so on, and it is absolutely a personal preference. And I made the comment earlier on today that, showmanship is one of those things that I can give you pointers and I can tell you all these things, and you're going to have somebody else come in next year or whatever, the next show that you go to, and they may tell you something totally different. And so you got to know your scouting report, I guess, in terms of the guy that you're showing to, the things that he likes. And I made the comment earlier today that my champion showman every time is a kid that I feel like that I've won on my best one, and give that thing a chance to win. And I think that all four of you guys do an awesome job, and very impressed. And I'm kind of at a point where I guess, with the way that showmanship generally works, so many kids kind of turn it into more of a theatrical deal with our circuits, and a lot of times the judges don't use the kids that seem to be the most competitive to win showmanship. They use the kids that are the most kind of the most prepared, I guess. And for me, I kind of go at that deal just a little bit different. But I think as you come back out here, I think it's very evident that, obviously showmanship is a team sport. You and your partner have got to be able to work together, and you've got to be able to kind of figure things out. You've got to be able to kind of roll with the punches a little bit, because those things are all animals, and they all kind of work just a little bit differently, and you've got to be able to adjust, and you've got to be able to switch it up, and so on. And so I think that we've got 4 extremely good individuals out here. And there's one that I prefer, and there's one that suits me extremely well. And if I was going to have one that that I thought could win, I would sure want this person to have the opportunity to drive that thing, and have the honor to have that person on the stick. So hopefully that means something to you, and hopefully when you go out here tomorrow or whenever your round robin is and you have the opportunity to compete in a multi-species event, I hope that you're as well-rounded as what you are on the livestock side of things, because I think you're absolutely as good as it gets. And so if you would, one more time, put your hands together. I'm actually going to go out and shake the hand of these champions.
Show as much as John did. Each of the previous 3 winners have exemplified a high degree of motivation, character, and an unbelievable positive influence on younger members. This year's winner fits the same mold. This young man's success, both inside and outside of the show arena, is second to none. Our 2016 winner, Hunter Wolf.
Hunter Wolf.
Hunter Wolf will be headed off to Purdue in just a few short weeks. As many of you know, Hunter has signed with Purdue to play baseball, in which he shapes an equal amount of passion for what many of you may not know is that John's second favorite enjoyment was baseball. So what a fitting winner. We couldn't think of a finer young man to present this scholarship, memorizing our husband, father, grandfather, and mentor to numerous Swine members to Hunter this year. We're confident that even as successful as Hunter has been in the ring, on the diamond, or on the court, he's even a better person and will reap the benefits for a long time. Let's put our hands together and congratulate the Hunter Wolf. We're going to come in now with our breeding guild, choose our champion breeding guild, the grand champion, our cream, Jason Laswell with the Berkshire, Ashlyn Killian with the Chester White, Hunter Wolf with the Duroc, Berkeley Bussing with the Hampshire, Lauren Thomas with the Hereford, Emma Beasley with the Poland, Bobby Joe West with the Spot, Sierra Paul with the Tamworth, Francis Mercer with the Yorkshire, and Kel Williams with the Cross. Your reserves for the Berkshire was Logan Thomas, Chester White, Cody Linton, Duroc, Berkeley Bussing, the Hampshire, Haley Molinich, Hereford, Matthew Lee, Poland, Logan Thomas, Spot, Bowen Bussing, Yorkshire, Denny Wolf, and Cross, Hayden Smith.
Well, guys, for our champion breeding guild, I'm obviously not going to stand out here and re-talk and rehash things that we talked about today. And we tried to keep things kind of fundamentally pretty basic. We want their feet and legs to stay right. We want their build to be true and genuine. And we want those things to be flexible and be able to go. And we try to get as much width and muscle in those things and make them as special as we can in that regard. And I think there's 2 of them as they come back out, and they're the 2 that I had in mind, I guess, before we before we got back into this deal that kind of suited me the best there today, and I made the comment about the champion that I didn't know that that thing really kind of outreached anywhere, or maybe kind of reached out and grabbed a different area. I just thought that this one was really basic and very true and very genuine, and I think that thing's build is exceptional, and I think for what that one represents, I think she is extremely good. And so, if you would, again, please put your hands together for these exhibitors, and I'm going to go out and collect your champion guild.
Your grand champion supreme breeding female was her Hunter Wolf.
For reserve, I think it becomes a little bit closer, and I thought that Duroc gilt was exceptional in a lot of areas in terms of being a tall-shouldered one that was long spine and extremely flexible and had some shape and some freshness, and obviously a bigger kind of a gilt in her own right. And I think there's another one that pushes her extremely hard, and I think where we talked about where those gilts are different, I think this one's probably a notch better in terms of her center body than was that red one that we used. And I don't know that she's maybe quite as heavy structured or maybe quite as fluent in terms of her feet and legs, and particularly out of her rear leg, but I think she is the next best one in my mind, quite handily. Young man's cross gilt's going to be her reserve.
Your reserve grand champion breeding gilt went to Cale Williams. He's also your grand champion supreme homegrown breeding gilt. In the reading we'll have Will Riddon with the Berkshire, Jason Reinbold with the Texan White, Guy Jacobs with the Duroc, Ashton Norman with the Hampshire, Logan Thomas with the Hereford, Brandon Horn with Holland China, Logan Stoley with the Scott, Cassidy Rubas with the Kenworth, Braxton Mercer with the Yorkshire, and Kelly Williams with the Cross. Our reserves, we have Lauren Thomas of the Berkshire, Jessica White of the Sierra Paul, Duroc, Brooklyn Bussy, Hampshire, David Mulligan, Mercer, Lauren Thomas, Owen China, Madison Nagioli, Spot, Josh Head, Yorkshire, Diane Mulligan, Nick Cross, Cale Williams.
Well, for our champion market bearer, I think that was one of those things that we went through the breeds and we went through the classes. We probably struggled just a little bit more to find ones to land on, and a little more give and take, I think, through there. But with that said, I do think that there was a trio of bearers that suited me fairly well. I talked all day about kind of just making things basic and keeping them simple, and kind of starting to ground and then working ourselves up, and then if we get enough muscle in them and keep them built right, then I'm always happy when we can do those things. And I made a comment earlier on in the day that I don't ever want those things to all look alike, and I don't think that they do. And I think that people a lot of times will try to keep all of them to kind of look the same, and when you do that, I think you have such a tendency to single trait things, and we try to just make them good and try to make them pretty fault-free, and I think that's the key to that deal. So hopefully as you see those bears that are out there in the center, and hopefully as you watch through the day, you have the opportunity to kind of listen as we talk those. And again, I told you we're not going to re-talk those things, all of them all the other three bears that I think are in contention, and we'll select those. And before we do that, if you guys would, please put your hands together, not only for the exhibitors, but everybody who made the show possible today. You know, it's so easy a lot of times to get caught up in the county fair, kind of what I call the county fair mentality, and I hope that that doesn't offend anyone, but I made a comment today in showmanship about how, you know, it's so easy to look at families that win, and it's so easy to stand back and say, gosh, you know, I'm so tired of them, but guys, I'm telling you, don't stand back and be jealous of somebody because they work hard, because they get along, because that's what's going to give them their life as they continue to go ahead. And I think it's one of those things that, you know, it's so easy to get caught up in those types of things, and unfortunately it happens every year, and it happens in a lot of places. And there's so many things that are bad in the world right now, and so many things that need to be better, but I don't think anybody would ever disagree that there's not anything that comes out of this event, and all of the things that these kids learn in terms of life lessons and life skills and all of those things. And I take this very seriously, and I take it to heart when I have the opportunity to do these, because I really feel like that, you know, we're having an opportunity, obviously, to judge and evaluate livestock, but at the same time, you know, I think that the life skills and the events that those kids are practicing right now are going to take them to the next level as they go ahead. And so I want to congratulate each and every one of you on my behalf in terms of the job well done. Hopefully you guys will take something out of this deal today. Hopefully you guys will take something out of this deal today that you learned or something that I said, and you'll be able to implement it not only in the show ring, but in your everyday life. And, you know, my dad used to always say there's no free lunches. And I think that that's something that you've got to understand. You can't wait on somebody to do things for you. You've got to get out and you've got to do it yourself. Surround yourself with good people, and good things are going to come of it. I think that you guys are in the best spot that you can be in. We'll talk about the three homes that are in contention. We'll talk about the young man George Rivera in the center, and obviously a really big center, fresh back, one as big as him. But I talked about him in class, and he was almost nearly too full, and in terms of kind of threw his balance off just a little. And you know, obviously that thing needs to be better in terms of his feet and legs up front, and as he goes directly away from you, I want to push his top back in. But I do think that that's an extremely good hog. We talked about the young man Berkshire hog in class, and I still think that that one's awfully good. And probably not the biggest one in terms of his size and scale, and maybe not the most extended, but also a great body and really fresh back. And I think one that's fairly coordinated in terms of his feet and leg placement. I like that thing in a lot of areas, and I think that he's certainly in contention. We talked about the young man Blue Cross Sparrow that's going across the center of the ring, and I think that was another one that you certainly have to appreciate in terms of being ultra heavy structured. It's one that's got a little more extension and a little more look, and honestly I think he's extremely fresh back, and he's got a great big rear leg as you set him and he goes directly away. I'd like for that thing to motivate maybe and kind of sit down and grab a gear. We talked about that earlier in terms of his hips and rear leg, but I think all three of those bears are extremely good. I think they're very, very close. The one that suits me the next best will be Reserve Cross.
Your reserve brand champion Cheryl Williams, Carol Vargas, and reserve Amy Parker, reserve champion Home Farm Carol.
Yep, sure did. I thought I wanted to go in here.
This concludes our summit, our Grand Champion Live, our Swine Show for 2016.